Round and round she goes. Where she stops, nobody knows. It's a bear. This coin hates bears. Wow. Good morning. Hey, what's up? This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals. Will you take a look at the clarity of the water today, folks? Oh man, this makes me so happy. I live down here and I love this cam. I don't think I've ever seen the water clarity this clear. This is the Deerfield Beach live cam for those of you that haven't heard me say it 10 million times. And if you want to just sit back and relax and drink a cup of coffee or a cup of wine, a glass of wine, depending on where you live or what time of day it is, I guess you can have wine anytime. It's a breakfast drink of champions, probably in some places. But take a look. I mean, look at the moonfish and all the other fish out here. It's just absolutely gorgeous. And today is mini lobster season too. I'm going to show you something else a little bit crazy. I know it doesn't have a lot to do with precious metals, but there are tons of boats out. Actually, I'm not going to show you right now. There's just like hundreds and thousands of boats just right offshore trying to get lobsters out there on mini lobster season day, which ends tomorrow. So we're going to see a lot of boats out there. But wow, I could just look at this all day. But we do have a report to do, so let's get into that. Well, we're sitting around this $1,800 level, and it hasn't really been monkey hammered below that. I'm going to read a good article here by, I think it's Mr. Hemke. I forget what his first name is. He's with Sprott. Let me do a quick refresh here and see where we're at as well. And silver didn't really get monkey hammered much below that 25. For all intents and purposes, it's sitting around that $25 level right now, even though we did get some monkey hammering yesterday. Gold currently at $1797.80. Overnight ranges since yesterday's New York closes, it looks like $1795 to $1800, and again right in that $1800 range. As I said, interesting article by Mr. Hemke from Sprott we'll read a little bit that talks about this 1800 range right here. And let's take a look at silver, 24.69 to 24.88, about 24.85, again sitting at that $25 level. We're in the mid-20 levels. I mean, we could see lower levels and more monkey hammering, and I suspect we will. There's no doubt about that, but I don't think it's going to last a long time. And I think 20s is the new teens. Just like, you know, the days when we used to see silver in that $5 to $10 range. I don't think we're going to see silver in the teens too much, except, again, for some monkey hammering. And as I said, when, not if, when this entire market blows up again like 2008. I mean, we're all waiting for another 2008, and we all know it's going to be 10 times bigger. We don't know how it's going to look, how it's going to play out, and when it's going to happen, but we all know it's going to happen. Even the naysayers kind of admit to it as well. If you watch CNBC or Bloomberg, you know, even their talking heads once in a while will say, you know, or the rah-rah people for the market will say, well, gosh, you got to wonder when this is going to correct. So, and when they're saying it, you know it's going to happen at some point. So when you see that big giant correction, you're going to see metals get hammered, but that's going to be a paper trade only. You will not be able to buy that lower metal price like we saw in 2008. You weren't able to buy precious metals in physical form in 2008 when the market crashed. As soon as it crashed, premiums went absolutely crazy. There was no physical available. Your only option was buying paper. However, that may be an option, and again, I'll talk about that at some point. I'm thinking if I see a 2008 crisis, I believe that if the ETFs are still strong, and I might make just a really quick in and out trade because I know I won't be able to buy physical silver at those lower levels. However, you know, that might be a little scary too, because all the markets are going to be a bit tenuous. All these companies are going to be on the edge. You know, if the market completely crashes, you know, like we had a layman style 2008, if it does that times 10, what will happen to ETFs? I mean, will they still be around? Will they get affected majorly as far as will they go out of business? What happens to all these paper derivatives? That's the only scary part making a trade like that, is you make a trade and all of a sudden you find out they're out of business, or they're gone, or they don't have the silver. Something to that effect. But no less, we will see, you know, when the collapse happens, you will see metals get hammered. But again, remember, that's a paper trade only, so don't get nervous about that. If you can make that paper trade safely, why not? You know, in and out. That's my opinion. Let's take a look at platinum here, 1,047, 1,065. Boy, I'm just so disappointed with the price of platinum. It really hasn't risen up to near the price of gold like it used to. And palladium, you know, I'm sure it has a lot to do with industry, and you got your three market makers out there for platinum and palladium. I think major ones are the Canadians, South Africans, and the Russians, and that's like a little mini cartel by itself. So I don't know what's going on with platinum, but I still think it's a great buy at this sub. I was saying sub $1,200. I think it's a great buy, but no less. It's just kind of languishing below this 1,100 mark. But silver's kind of sitting in this steady as she goes area, and so is gold, sitting around $1,800. I'm comfortable with these levels. Good opportunity to buy the dip, as I always say too. Not too much in ZH out there. In brief, first, let's just take a look at the few articles here. By the way, ZH is free. You can read this for free. They do have annoying ads if you get the free service. I happen to have the premium service, so I don't have to look at those ads pop up all the time. And again, let's take a look and see what we got going on here as far as news. I always like to look at the news, and I don't like corporate news only because they provide one single narrative, one single viewpoint, one single opinion. I like to have multiple opinions, multiple viewpoints, and I like the ability to choose my own truth. And I'm not stupid. I'm not stupider than the talking head that's on TV telling you what to do, or most of their experts. And as I've always said, if you listen to the gold experts on MSNBC, CNN, Bloomberg, or any of the corporate media, you will absolutely do the wrong thing. You'll go broke. They're totally clueless when it comes to precious metals for the most part. The only time I ever see CNBC say anything smart about precious metals, I'm talking about CNBC, is when they have Peter Schiff on once in a blue moon. That smartens them up a little. That smartens up the station a little bit when it comes to precious metals. Other than that, they are clueless. They're stupid. They really are. They just kind of follow a narrative that they're told to follow. Well, let me not go into that. I say that all the time. Dip buying retail army plows into Chinese stocks. So they're talking about the retail young folks out there, the Reddit army. So I guess they just plowed back into Chinese stocks. There's a lot of new investors out there. I wonder how many will still be around when we do see the great bust happen. And again, as I said, it will. Watch out, wall of dust blankets Phoenix. Mega drought, not too good. I don't know what's going on with that. Trump blast, well, he's always blasting something, but, I can't blame him. I got to agree with him on this one right here. China's plunge protection arrives. Beijing convenes to restore market calm after rout. We have a plunge protection team here in Washington, D.C. as well. And Ted Butler pointed out years ago that he thinks they have something to do with keeping the price of gold down by through the intervention of markets using JP or some other companies. But I digress, and I'm sure we've talked about this 100 times before. Small caps face accelerant flow risk. Not too much when it comes to precious metals. Oh, it looks like Weber Grills is set to sizzle the IPO market with an $8 billion valuation. Weber Grills, boy, a company worth $8 billion. What is it? Gosh, that tells you really $8 billion for a company that makes grills. Oh man, I don't know what world I woke up in. It's a strange world out there. Let me survey finds most Brits still wearing face masks despite no legal requirements. Here's a cool one. African bandits steal 66 trucks carrying copper worth millions. Boy, what a scam story that is. And apparently let's see here. Let's do a quick read here. I think they actually had a little cartoon showing the whole deal, how it works. Apparently, last spring, China was emerging from its COVID-19 lockdown. Manufacturers are trying to get raw materials. A Swiss trader made a deal. I'm just kind of reading real quick here and cutting out some of it just to give you the story real quick. A Swiss trader made a deal for a Chinese buyer and found a source in Turkey for huge amounts of copper. Well, apparently, a week before the first shipment, they loaded the copper into the truck. The inspectors came and they sealed up the truck and they put the seals on there, but they told the truckers to come back the next day. That evening, it looks like, here's the burger. That looks like the Hamburglar at McDonald's. I think McDonald's should talk to the cartoon writer here. That's the Hamburglar, damn it. So it looks like the Hamburglar showed up in the middle of the night and switched out these copper bars for paving bricks, paving stones, which are about the same size. They painted them copper on top of it. They resealed it up with official looking seals, and they started making these shipments. Apparently, after the first shipment arrived, the buyer opens the container and he looks and he's got rocks, man. He calls the trading firm to ask what happened in Switzerland and says they don't know what happened, so they call and find out the switch must have taken place after the ships left Turkey, the supplier says. No less, they find out it did not. It happened 7 more times too. Isn't that crazy? Not in transit. It happened before it was even transported. They apparently an inside job here, and the trader had wired $36 million for a bunch of rocks. Go figure, $36 million. However, is $36 million really a lot of money in a world where a grill company sells their IPO for $8 billion? I don't know. I used to think $36 million was a lot of money until I read the Weber Grill IPO. Sorry about that. Other than that, really not too much to read. And I did kind of look over this earlier to see if there's much we could talk about. What I want to get into real quick is Craig Hemke's article on gata.org. As I said, most of you, if you've already read this article, and I think most of my viewers out there that watch me on a daily basis probably already read this. It's part of the homework, and again, I say that you have, if you're a gold and silver stacker, you have to have gata.org. I'm sure a lot of you are getting tired. For you folks that have already read gata.org and you got it on your bookmarks bar, just fast forward through this section every time you see it, unless of course you miss the article yourself. But meanwhile, for you folks that haven't, you got to have this on your bookmark bar. It tells you who the players are, how they manipulate the game, and how you should probably play it too, because there's no worse way to get into a game if you don't know how the game is played, and you don't know who the players are, and you don't know how the game is rigged or manipulated as well. Once you know that, everything becomes clear, and when you see these big drops and these big down days, you don't get upset about it, really. You just say, hey, it's par for the course. We know where we're headed with precious metals. We're headed up. Ultimately, we're headed up. So again, nothing to worry about here. The markets are highly manipulated. Craig Hemke at Sprott Money has a really good article. I'm going to read it real quick here, and let me see here if I can just click it right here. There it is, Sprott Money, and there's the link to the Sprott website. I've talked about Sprott a few times too, but this is not about Sprott. And by the way, thank you, Craig. Good article here. Some of you question why it's valuable to document the obvious price rigging of the banks. I believe that Hemke and Sprott, they got a little group going where they're documenting all this manipulation and stuff, and I'm glad to see them doing it. Really, very important. Even though no one's doing much about it. The answer, because remarkably, there are still analysts, many of them whom precious metals community hold in high regard, who claim the pricing mechanism is fair, honest, and free of price manipulation. I don't think I read or listen to any analyst that thinks that the precious metals market is not rigged. I'd sure like to know who those people are. I'll talk about them more on my show, or my video here. No less, Mr. Hemke points out there's still people that he believes that they hold in high regard that don't think anything's going on. I don't know how you could hold someone in high regard when they're completely clueless. And how can you be a someone in the precious metals industry that's held in high regard and not understand and not believe it? That's how can you be held in high regard at that point? Your credibility is pretty much shot, in my opinion. Then again, everybody's an expert in everything. Maybe they're experts in mining, or maybe they're experts in the specific paper derivatives of the gold market, or whatever. But they're certainly not experts in figuring out how the game is manipulated, and that's pretty obvious from what Mr. Hemke says here. For this week's post, let's just use 2 recent examples to make the point. First, there's this latest revelation from the U.S. Department of Justice in their ongoing prosecution of price manipulation schemes in precious metals trading. Here's the full link of Bloomberg. Bloomberg, a few screenshots, highlights are posted above. Bloomberg chat logs introduced by prosecutors show that them bragging about how easy it is to manipulate prices. And this is stuff we've already talked about. You know how they got busted doing this. Basis and fellow Merrill Lynch trader John Pacilio faced federal charges for allegedly spoofing futures markets from 2008 to 2014. Well, there's a manipulator right there, a huge manipulator, and this is between 2008 and 2014, folks, that these guys were doing. They were bragging about it. They got caught. But no less, these supposed respected people in the industry still don't believe it. Give me a frickin' break. And again, happens again. And again, if I can spot these patterns, and I can see these patterns, and I am not an expert in charts, graphs, I'm not an expert in investment field, I'm not an expert in banking, What I am is a dealer that woke up every morning and for decades watched this happen and then tried to figure it out for myself. Why does this happen in thinly trading markets when nobody's trading precious metals in the middle of the night in huge amounts? Now, I knew exactly what was happening. It was clear as a bell to me. And again, as Mr. Hemke points out, how can you be respected, a respected person in this industry and not know that? I'm sorry, my respect level would be right down to about zero at that point. I digress, though, and let me move along with his article here. Here's the one that we talk about, the manipulation that was actually caught. The J.P. Morgan. A lot of people know about this. J.P. Morgan get fined, what, $987 million, almost $1 billion. However, what did they make? $4 billion, $10 billion, and Jamie Dimon and his fucking pirates got off scot-free. Too big to jail, too big to fail. So that's what you got going on there. Another thing I'd like to point out is that a vast majority of these people that work in the industry, or not in the industry, I'm sorry, in the regulation departments for government, the SEC, all the people that are supposed to check, these people actually are looking for jobs. They either worked for these big companies they're supposed to be investigating and following, they either worked for them or they want to work for them. Think about this, folks, and this is true. I look at the Department of Justice hiring some guy or something like that was involved with attorneys that let big banks off the hook. I mean, there's all kinds of crony bullshit going on here. And if anyone really honestly believes that regulators do anything when it comes to precious metals manipulation and scams, no, they don't, folks. In fact, they're in bed with them. Just get over that fact. And this is why you want to read gata.org, and this is why you want to listen to people that, respected people in the industry will tell you this stuff. And they will, frankly, just admit, yeah, the markets are manipulated. But, if you know how they're manipulated, you can win. Except you got people out there that are either in denial or clueless or both, one or the other. I digress again, and I do that a lot. So sorry about that. Between 2000 and 2016, in case you didn't know, J.P. Morgan engaged in a pattern of manipulation of precious metals, futures and U.S. Treasury futures markets, treasuries too, folks. The CFTC did. The CFTC, you know what? The only reason CFTC probably had to charge JP for this is just because it got so big and so in your face. And JP probably actually called him and said, "Hey, listen, it's time for you guys to fine us." They probably ratted themselves out and said, here's your $1 billion. We're done. But again, too big to fail, too big to jail. Because if anybody else pulled this kind of nonsense, you or I, we'd be buried under a jail somewhere. So let's take a look at the rest of this. Traders replaced orders on one side of the market which they never intended to execute to create a false impression of buyer-sell interest that would raise or depress prices according to someone. The manipulated practice, which is designed to create the illusion of demand or lack of thereof, is known as spoofing. Some of the trades were made on JP Morgan's own account, while on occasion traders manipulated the market to facilitate trades by hedge fund clients, the CFTC said. The worthless CFTC said. The bank failed to identify, investigate, and stop behavior, even though new surveillance systems flagged issues in 2014. And of course the bank knew. The bank knew that their precious metal traders were spoofing markets and making them billions. They knew. Maybe they didn't have any emails directly sent to the CEOs. Jamie Dimon probably said that, hey, don't send me emails. I don't want to know nothing about this. He knew what the frick was happening. He knew who was making the money. In fact, he just got a $1.5 million bonus or something crazy. These people are evil, folks. These people are manipulators. They don't have your best interests in mind. They have their own best interests in mind. They should be in jail, in my opinion. Again, too big to fail, also too big to jail. And finally, proof that the bullion bank manipulation continues to this day, despite the arrest warnings and fines. And again, the only arrests that happens were the low-level traders who got thrown under the bus. They probably have a nice little package waiting for them when they get out of jail, like the mob does. Hey, cover for us, and when you get out, we'll give you that. I'm just guessing. That may not be true, but no less, Jamie Dimon threw his traders under the bus. I don't know if they went to jail or not, but to make sure he doesn't go to jail, they have to throw somebody under the bus. I think Jamie just said, hey, listen, pay them $1 billion to leave us alone. They won't want us in jail. They want our $1 billion. And that's probably true to some degree. And this CFTC investigator that found all this thing gets to look like a big hero, like he did something, when in fact he did fucking nothing. Again, CFTC and these regulators, worthless. Let's move along here. On gold, on July 22nd, Unusual Morning Poster subscribers. Oh, hold on. I submit the past week of price action in COMEX. Now, he's going to show us kind of what happened and how this is still happening. On July 22nd, our usual morning post for subscribers, I wrote that no one should expect any sort of price rally until COMEX option expirations on the Tuesday, the 27th. Why? Because of the easily identifiable sweet spot of minimum finance paying for the option. Writing banks. See below. And a simple review of the remaining open interest at various strike levels allowed this sort of determination. It's not just this month. The banks attempt to rig price to their financial gain into every option expiration. If you don't understand and follow this information, you will often find yourself confounded and flat-footed in these monthly events. How do banks and trading desks consistently accomplish this feat? Here's a simple explanation that was on ZH, and I guess these guys read ZH as well. What it means. Gold and silver are flattening near big option strikes and may not move until there's real news events now or until option expiration is done. In markets where there are no large short-dated options like positions like we see in the meme stock weeklies, you get these opposite of gamma squeezes. These happen because the bigger market makers have plenty of time to get their act together. In doing so, they can message the markets, and we invariably see strike pens. This is merely a function of the short option players having more money to play than the long option players, always has been. Let me kind of move along here. It says, as you can see, below 1800 is the sweet spot of minimal loss for the banks. So the banks are manipulating this, folks, and they show specifically how they do this. But will the CFTC, will the regulators do anything? No. You know why? Because they are in bed with these fuckers. Further, there was incentive to avoid a drop below 1775 or a rally above 1825. And they clearly point this out here. And so as you'd expect, as we've seen play out over the past 5 days, the price of COMEX gold has been repeatedly drawn to 1800. Think about this, folks. If you've been watching it every day, this is very, very, this is true. Points it out clearly. Drawn to 1800 as if by a magnet. And that's where we've been for the last over a week or so. We're at the end of the month, expirations. And now with the COMEX close as of 1:30 on Tuesday, July 27, price is settled within pennies of 1800. Oh, what a coincidence. Just as predicted 5 days ago. Magic? Nope, just simple manipulation analysis. So in the end, what's the point of this week's post? Thank you, Mr. Hemke. I got to thank you for this. It was a really great post, actually. Little technical for some folks, but a good post. So in the end, what's the point of this week's post? If you believe that the price of gold is somehow determined in a free and fair market, devoid of bank price manipulation, you are sorely mistaken. Well, we all know that. Everyone that watches my videos, we know that. We explain how this operates and how this has been done for decades now and how the regulators do nothing. Gold and silver price manipulation did not end in 2016. Absolutely true. It has continued to this day. We see it again, like we saw this week with Mr. Hemke's talking about keeping that price around the sweet spot of 1800 for their benefit. And we've also seen monkey hammering ourselves on Mondays and Fridays on thinly traded markets before the market opens up or early. So we know it's still happening. And again, regulators do nothing. And why? Because they're either involved with it or they're stupid. However, as with all distortions and manipulations, when the end comes, and I agree with this 100%. A friend of mine that actually was in denial about manipulation said the same thing to me. He said that ultimately they can continue to do, they can manipulate markets. He finally admitted to me, this is a guy that I argued with for years, that I respected him, so I guess I understand what Mr. Hemke's talking about, respected people in the industry. I respect, but he was in such denial about it. When it finally happened, he goes, yeah, but they can only do it so long. And he made a good case for how they can do it so long, and Mr. Hemke talks about this here. However, as with all distortions and manipulations, when the end comes, the reversion to mean and the natural price will be shocking. In this case, after being restrained lower for decades through unallocated and synthetic supply, price will inevitably reset multiples higher. In the meantime, recognition of this is what I'm talking about. You got to know who the players are. This is why you want to have GATA.org on your bookmark bar. In the meantime, recognition of this ongoing manipulation is vital to understanding these markets. That's what I say all the time, folks. If you understand the how and why of the bank price manipulation, then you can use this knowledge to your advantage in timing your regular acquisitions of physical metals. Wow, gosh, that's like something I say every day, and Mr. Hemke's saying it right now, and he's saying it pretty loud and clear. And let's, wow. And let's close this week by stressing again point number 3. Many fear that this price manipulation scheme, which has been in place since 1975, folks, this is nothing new. JP did not invent this manipulation market, will continue indefinitely. I can assure you that it will not. Instead, a moment will come when the overstretched fraud of the derivative markets will snap. When this happens, it will be recalled in the same manner that Hemingway once described bankruptcy. The current pricing scheme will fail gradually and then suddenly. Those who continue to plan for this inevitable event will find themselves rewarded and, most importantly, protected when it finally does. What do I talk about gold and silver all the time? Wealth preservation. And you can also make a lot of money on it. And this is what, when I say make a lot of money, once this fraud, as he points out here, comes, overstretched fraud of derivative markets snaps, it's going to go crazy. Metals are going to go crazy. Prices are going to go crazy high. And as he points out here, don't worry about it. I assure you as well that this manipulation will not last forever. And I think we're in the end stages of it myself. Here's a quote that I like. I'm a big fan of Robert Heinlein. Read him a lot when I was a young man. But one of my favorite quotes from him is, "Of course the game is rigged. Don't let that stop you. If you don't play, you can't win." And with knowledge and with understanding how these games are rigged, folks, you can win. And you will win. Just keep listening to guys like Mr. Hemke, Ted Butler, myself. I'm not going to steer you wrong. And again, I'm not claiming I'm any expert level on a like a lot of these guys are, and a lot of these guys that do analysis. My expertise comes in physical. I've been doing this since 1977. Started working for my father in the summers, and then I think about 1980 or something like that, I started working full-time, 81 or 82, in this industry. And I've watched gold and silver markets every day. If there's one thing I have, is a good macro view, daily basis. I see this stuff. I don't see it up close. I'm not in the forest anymore, so when a tree falls, I'm on the outside. I can kind of see the big picture here. And the game is rigged, folks. But if you don't play, you can't win. And the best way to win is know who the players are and how they manipulate it. And that's what we try to teach you here. Let's take a look at gold and silver price report. FOMO YOLO. I was thinking, what a cool name. Fear of missing out, and you only live once. I thought it was a good little title there. Talked about an article I read about fear of missing out. The FOMO crowd that's out there, and it's big. They're the guys that are got into the silver market recently or not too long ago, and are absolutely disgusted that they haven't tripled and quadrupled their money this last year. So, and they'll be on to the next big thing. As soon as Bitcoin starts moving again, unless they get stung badly in Bitcoin, they'll move back into that market or something. These guys just lose money all the time, the FOMO crowd, more or less. But not always. FOMO has kept people into the equity and stock market, and they'll do well until they don't. And at some point, that market's going to take a giant shit. Let's take a look at some of the comments here and what's going on. Sierra Legacy, new name. I haven't seen you, but thanks for watching. And looks like silver will be dipping lower this week. I don't know. I think it's a great buy anything below 30. So if you have an opportunity to buy at 24.50, 24, whatever it may be, great. As I said, these are manipulated dips, and they're only going to last so long. And they do provide you to do what? Buy the opportunity to do what? Buy the frickin' dip. So keep buying the dips. Thanks for watching, Mr. Avila, or Sierra Legacy Avila. Appreciate it. Couldn't see the little picture. I can't tell who I'm talking to sometimes, so forgive me if I say sir or ma'am. Joey from Seattle, just refreshed my screen. Fort Lauderdale popped up. Absolutely, 3 hours behind us. And thanks for watching. Inspector Jason, nice to see you watching as well. Gold's going to get hammered lower in the last couple days of July. I think we've already seen that. And actually, Inspector Jason, the article we just read by Mr. Hemke, which is on gata.org, I'd recommend you read the whole article, by the way, too. Explains this exactly, sir. So you kind of nail it. You saw what happened. We're probably, I don't know where we're going from here, but up overall. But this week, next 2 weeks, tough to say right now. Maybe sideways, maybe down a little bit, maybe up. Tree Climber says, hat tip, Road to Ruta had a good GAT bid on the banks at Scampium. I got to watch that Road to Ruta sometime. I haven't had an opportunity to look at it. I've heard a few people talking about that YouTube videos. And thanks for watching, Tree Climber. I appreciate that. Lillian Wren says, I'm spending about $200 a week on silver. Is there a specific amount people believe they should have to be secure? I'm going to take a sip of coffee before I even get to my coffee break here. Hang on one second. Well, Specific amount? No, there really isn't. And people ask me, how much should I put into gold and silver? And I'm not a investment advisor. I just couldn't tell you, folks. I couldn't. I do remember as a kid in the 80s, when gold was just absolutely crazy. All of a sudden, investment advisors. I started meeting investment advisors that were buying physical metals at the time. Legit investment advisors. I was working for my father in Boca Raton. They'd come from their offices and come over and ask us what kind of products were available. And I remember a few investment advisors, this is the old days, in the 1980s, that said that 10 to 15% of your total worth, you know what I mean? So if you've got, $100,000 in, I'm using this as a round number, your total worth, investment worth is $100,000. You should have about $10 or $15 in precious metals. At least at the time, that's what they were advising people, and the people were paying them to give them this advice, by the way. So what I'm giving you is something for free that I heard that someone actually paid for back in the 80s. And then they were also advising their customers if they felt bullish, 20%. So if they really felt bullish, 20%. But they were recommending that their customers always keep some kind of hard asset like gold on hand and keep 10 to 15% of their assets in that. I don't know if that's true today. I haven't even met an investment advisor in a long time. I don't know if they still exist. The big companies took over, so the small, just like the small little local hardware stores. Now we've got not Costco, we've got Home Depot now. So I don't know if those little guys exist anymore, if it's just Home Depot giving financial advice now. When I say Home Depots, I'm talking about like the big corporate guys like JP, like, I was going to say Lehman, but they're not around. Lillian Wren says, love the show as well. Watch every one of them. Thank you, Lillian. If you had a show, I'd watch it too, just because you said that. So I really appreciate that. Thanks for watching. You have a great day. Mr. Monk says, love your recaps and perspective. Found the best explanation of how bullion banks play the system. Look up on YouTube. Gold, the Truth and Hidden in Plain Sight, Part 4. Haven't watched it. If I get a chance, I will, sir. Sometimes, my days are a bit crazy here. These videos take up a little part of the day as well. Thanks for watching, Mr. Monk. Art, or Mrs. Monk, I'm not sure. I shouldn't say that. I don't know who I'm talking to. Sorry about that. Art Van Augie says, when you read, you're less intelligible. Slow down. Say something original. I don't know how to reply to that, other than thanks for watching, Augie. You have yourself a great day. I'll try to slow it down for you a little bit here. I know some people don't comprehend as fast as others. Thanks for watching, Art. Have a great day. Demon says, what is the hot rare coin market you would recommend? None, sir. I wouldn't recommend any rare coins unless you are going to be, I tell people this all the time. I probably shoot myself in the foot. However, rare coin collecting is a hobby. It's a hobby. It's not an investment. A lot of people like to tell you it's an investment or claim it's an investment. It's a hobby. Can it be an investment? Sure. Why not? Art can be an investment, right? If you buy the right art and you spend the right amount of money. Coins can be like that as well. That's the comparison I make between. I think coins, rare coins and numismatic have a closer relationship to art, whether it's sculpture or whether it's paintings, than it does to gold and silver bars as an investment. So I see rare coins not as an investment. I see them as buying art. But however, you can invest in art and you can invest in coins. Who are the people that do best investing in art and coins? I'll tell you the two people that do. There's two types of people that are going to do well in that environment with collectibles. And again, whether it's art or whether it's rare art or rare coins. You're either going to, have to do it yourself and become a hobbyist. You have to have a passion and love for rare coins. You have to enjoy what you're doing. You have to read. You have to go online every night and look at coin sites. You'll know once you start whether you like doing it or not. So if you've got the coin bug and you like collecting coins and you're reading books and you are probably a great candidate, and you'll probably do well. You'll make a lot of mistakes, but you'll do well in the long run because you like what you're doing. Now, if you don't like coins, and when you can't find yourself reading it all the time, but you have an interest in it and you want to make money, like rich people do. Some rich people have no clue about art. They don't want to know nothing about art. Well, what do? They hire someone to do it for them. But the problem with that, folks, unless you're in that level where you can hire someone to do that stuff for you, and there's no guarantee if you hire someone they're going to make the right decisions either. But probably a little bit better decisions for sure than you would make on your own with no experience, and maybe probably about the same, or maybe a little bit better than someone that is a collector that can't afford to hire someone. But if you hire the right person, just like in art, perhaps there's an investment to be made there. So that's how I break it down, sir. Unless you're going to be a collector or take the time to learn it or hire someone to do it, it's not a good investment. However, it is a fun and beautiful hobby, and it's a growing hobby too. So hey, good question, D-Man. Thanks. Big Water says, love your videos. I usually learn something new. So do I, actually. Believe it or not, I do too. And thanks for watching, Big Water. I appreciate that. You know, when I'm looking to do a little research on what I'm going to talk about in the morning, which is not a lot, trust me, my research, I probably take more time to make coffee than I do research, and I'm sorry about that, but it's true. These videos, I just kind of wing it, as you can probably tell. So thanks for watching, Big Water. I appreciate it. Master Sensei says, never knew rapid inflation causes a stronger dollar and weaker metals, oils. It does, sir. And if you're familiar with Superman comic books, it's called Bizarro World. And if you're not familiar with Superman comic books, go look up what Bizarro World is, and that's exactly where we live right now. Thanks for watching, Master Sensei. Appreciate it. Lone Wolf says, underwater intros are cool. I love myself. Today's was really cool. People are comfortable lazy until the shit hits the fan event happens, then all they do is complain like they didn't know. That's true. Some people complain, but I think, you know, we're living in a different time. People went through the 2008 crisis. I honestly believe that more and more people are opening their eyes and understanding that governments, corporate media, the officials for governments aren't really always actually that intelligent, that smart, or looking out for our interest. And a lot of times they're very manipulative, and mostly they're manipulative. So I think a lot of people are discovering this, and that's the beauty of YouTube and social media. As much as people love to hate on YouTube and social media, I love YouTube, I love social media, because now we have the opportunity to share information amongst ourselves. We don't have to get it from Bloomberg or CNBC or directly from government officials or sources. We have the ability to share amongst ourselves. We have the ability to take, like why I watch ZH instead of Wall Street Journal. It's because we have the ability now to look at different opinions and different viewpoints and different narratives. And I think once people start using their intelligence to do that, they'll start to see who are the liars, who are the people that are giving it to us straight, who is trying to manipulate us. And I think we see that more and more and more. There is some cognitive dissonance going on out there for people that really, you know, like the people that if you said gold and silver is manipulated, they start screaming. That's cognitive dissonance at this point. I'm going to move along. Thanks for watching, Lone Wolf. Appreciate it. Jeff Keller says, great video. Appreciate that as well. Michael Matthews, I don't know why, but every time you show me that coffee cup, I get thirsty. Take a sip here. Hang on. Thanks for watching. Battleborn says, if gold and silver get hammered, then so am I. Especially with all your ums in the video. Did anybody drink with every I said today? You'd been drunk the first 5 minutes. I say that anyway. Oh, listen, I'm not perfect. This is not my full-time job. Actually, probably a good thing it is, and I'd starve if this kind of stuff was my full-time job. They say, is that the guy that says all the time? Anyway, thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And may your daily drive home be safe, sir, every day. Edward Bonventure says, isn't it funny food, energy, stocks, and real are going parabolic but not metals? In my opinion, being purposely forced down for wealthy to load up on before the reset. What is your take on pre-33? First off, let me answer that first one. I think precious metals are silver especially, is way underpriced, and way manipulated. But as the article we just read clearly points out, I think at some point we're gonna all wake up and go, holy moly, look at it go. And that's exactly what it's going to do, in my opinion. Pre-33 gold, you know, I love U.S. gold coins. I think if you can buy them for a reasonable small premium for circulated polished coins or problem coins over the price of gold, they're the same people that made eagles. If you don't have to pay more than a gold eagle for it, yeah, go ahead and buy it as far as the premium of the gold. As far as pre-23 numismatic stuff, just what I just said earlier, Ed, about buying numismatics, you're either going to have to be a collector or hire someone to do this for you. If you like collecting coins, then why not? You know, but if you were to talk to me, I wouldn't tell you just to buy pre-33 gold coins willy-nilly. There's a lot of better choices out there in the numismatic field. Would you be a seller? to buy lower premium gold or silver, or would you just hold at this point? Hold, buy and hold, buy and hold. This is about wealth preservation, sir. Thanks for watching, Ed. Appreciate it. Potter Stacker says, I watched the monkey hammer happen in real time, almost 70 cents in about a minute. Yeah, that's how it kind of happens, sir. Usually early in the morning during slow trading sessions, and that's kind of what we're seeing. Silver UFO, $22 silver soon. You know, I'm not really quite sure. I think we could see $18 silver. Again, as I said, if we see a 2008 style collapse, you're going to see everything collapse, including precious metals, but you won't be able to buy it at that price. Trust me on that. However, $22, it's just not looking like it. It's holding on to this $25 level, but tough to say. You never know, Silver UFO. Thanks for watching. Clueless says monkeys are not hammering the price. The very rich control the price. They know the vast majority of hoarders will never sell. They count on it. I'm not quite sure about it. I think a vast majority of hoarders are why they are going to be forced to get out of their positions, exactly as Mr. Hemke said a little bit earlier. Clueless, if you get a chance, take a read of that Sprott article, that Hemke article I just did on gata.org. Good read for you, and I think it'll explain things better for you a little bit. Well, that's really about it. Best deals out there in silver. As you know, instead of telling you what the products are, I'm just telling you buy a recognizable product that's recognizable by people in the industry, not by your brother or you or your neighbor, and stick with recognizable products. With that said, and that's for gold and silver and platinum. With that said, your next goal is going to buy the cheapest possible premium you can. So you want to buy recognizable products at the cheapest premium you can. And currently, right now, that is silver bars and 90%. 1 ounce bars, 10 ounce bars, 100 ounce bars. 100 ounce bars being the best deal right now, and silver 90% being the best deal. Those are the best deals on silver out there, period. And they're all under that $4 range, I believe, or $4.25 or something like that. I think they're close to the $4 premium, so they've come down substantially. Silver Eagles are still at that $6 to $9 range, overpriced. Love the product, but overpriced. Maples have come down a little bit. And gold, too. Let's talk about gold right now. The best deals in gold are recognizable products that you can pick up for $80 or under per ounce. There are coins out there, and they're getting at that $100 level a little bit. Gold Eagles even come down substantially, but they're still well over $100. Wouldn't recommend them when you can buy product at spot plus 80. That's my opinion. And again, I've been doing this a long time, physical metal sales. So if I can say one thing I know, this is it. You should be listening to me on this stuff, folks. And my recommendation is keep it local, folks. Jobs, business, community, keep it local. I advertise to beat APMEX, JM, SD Bullion prices. They're good companies, but it's easy for me to beat them. Not only can I beat their prices, I can also give you great advice. As an experienced guy that's been doing this for 30 or 40 years, you can't go on JM or SD or talk to anybody that has the experience that I have or my crew has. So we can give you a lot more service for better money than they can. And I'm always recommending you find a local dealer that can do the same. Find a local coin store. They're out there. They may be small. They're not big or pretty or all the time, but hit your local coin store just to keep that money local. I just picked any old coin store there, by the way. I don't know. I don't know whose coin store that is, but that reminds me of my father's first store, like a couple windows and one door. My father's first store in 1977, we had one door, and it was a 10 by 10 room. And we had people lined up on the sidewalk out the door of our store at one time. But no less, keep that money local, folks. There's good reason to do that. And I talk about that every day. I'm not going to bore you today with that. Well, that's really about it. This is Brian Kuzmar with Commercial Rare Coins and Precious Metals in beautiful Lauderdale by the Sea. Call me anytime at 954-493-8811 between the hours of 10 and 4, Mondays through Fridays. Happy to help you out with your deals. If you don't live in my area, unfortunately, I cannot sell you gold or silver. We are brick and mortar only. We only deal face-to-face. No mail sales, no online sales. So if you want to deal with me, you have to come and see me physically, folks. You have to come down face-to-face with me. And this is why, again, if you don't live in my area and you watch my shows, that I recommend you buy local. Well, that's it. Hey, let's see what happens today. And the bull said, the coin said a bear, and I think it's probably right today. And that's really about it. Have a great day, and hey, thanks for watching, and talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.